Hi there, my name's Gina Maloney. This is my best practice research project on decoding and also on comprehension for my meeting student literacy challenges class. Just a little background information. I'm doing this on a fourth grade student in my class. His name is Hanley and he's 9 years old. I teach in a very small school, and when I first started, I taught kindergarten, and the first year I taught that class, I had Hanley then as well. So it's been really nice to see the growth that he's made. I know a lot of teachers don't really have the opportunity to see a student in kindergarten and then again in fourth grade. So I really feel like I've gotten to know Hanley, and when I had him in kindergarten, he faced a lot of difficult challenges early on. He lives with his grandmother now, but at the time, his grandfather was there as well, and also his father, and within a really short time, his grandfather passed away, and then shortly thereafter, his father also passed away. So he was having a very, very difficult time. And he was very angry, and at times he still can be. He does not receive special ed services, and he does not go to Title I. He does, however, have a 504 plan. His grandmother was concerned that he was autistic, so she had him evaluated, and the evaluation came back negative, but he does have a few characteristics that are autism-like. Like I said, he does have ADHD and he does take medication, but you can tell by the end of the day it's starting to wear off, and as the day progresses, he does have a much, much harder time focusing. He is strong in spelling and he almost has photographic memory, but he does really struggle with decoding and breaking apart words. And then his ADHD also contributes quite a bit to his comprehension. He loves science and math, but reading is a struggle. It's not something he really enjoys, and he's not highly motivated. He doesn't like to take risks in front of his peers. He doesn't want to be wrong, so sometimes I think he does know how to pronounce a word, but he won't even try in front of anyone. So that's a little background on Hanley. So what is decoding? Decoding, I feel, is the foundation for reading. If learners can't break apart words into smaller chunks, they're not going to be able to pronounce those words. It's the process of breaking apart words into smaller pieces and then putting those pieces back together again in order to sound out the full word. Hanley really struggles with decoding. He has a difficult time focusing, and like I said, he doesn't want to be wrong in front of his classmates, so sometimes he won't even attempt to try. I feel that in order to help Hanley become successful, I need to take into consideration his interests, his learning style, his reading level, and his motivation level. Like I said, he loves science. I think that's probably his very favorite subject. So I'd like to find some science texts and see how he does with those. Some strategies we've tried is the Skippy Frog. It's when you skip the word and then hop back using those context clues to maybe figure out what that word is. Chunky Monkey, you work with the chunks that you already know. Flippy Dolphin, flipping the vowel sound. Cover the beginning or the middle or the end to figure out what that word is. Tap it out is one Hanley uses frequently, is tapping each chunk, breaking apart the syllables. In one of the articles I found, I thought this quote was really applicable. Using word analysis strategies, students read unknown words part by part and use known meanings or semantic features of the smaller chunks to assist them into decoding the longer word. So for example, using the word hibernate, if Hanley or another student didn't know it, they would break it into syllables. So hibernate, and then they would be able to piece that back together to figure out that it was saying hibernate. Like I said, Hanley also struggles with comprehension. I feel like he isn't comprehending because, for one, he can't decode some of those words, and then he's having such a difficult time focusing. If we're reading aloud in small groups, he's often staring out the window or watching the other kids as they read. He's not focused on his own book. Reading comprehension is simply understanding what you've read. Successful readers monitor their comprehension while they read. Self-monitoring and self-questioning enable readers to make connections to prior learning, signals them when comprehension breaks down, and guides their use of fix-up strategies to repair understanding. So what this shows me is that in class, my stronger readers, if they're reading too fast or something doesn't make sense along the way, they kind of pause and think, wait a minute, I just read that page, but I don't have any idea what it means. So they'll go back and reread to figure out what the book was telling them. Hanley doesn't really have that self-monitoring or self-questioning that kind of says, oh, I didn't get that, I need to try again. So he really struggles with comprehension. Some strategies we use are rereading the text and partner reading. So right now we're reading a story, and we'll work in very small groups, and we'll read the text or part of the text together, and then they'll break into small groups with partners and reread the same text that we just read, so they're getting it twice. I usually try to partner Hanley with a classmate that is at a higher reading level with him, because that actually does seem to motivate him. He tries a little bit harder when he's being challenged or when he's with someone that's at a higher level. Using context clues, summarizing the story, who are the characters, where are they, what's the problem, how did they solve it. We make predictions, we use graphic organizers. Sequencing is something I like to use a lot. I will create a list of events that happen throughout the story, and I'll mix them up, and it's their job to put them in order. And then text detectives is just a fun way of saying, find the evidence, show me where in the book you found that or how you know that's true. The application. Students can be taught strategies to generate questions about what they read and to answer teacher-generated questions effectively. Teaching students to ask questions before, during, and after reading supports engagement and understanding. Although teacher questions are most commonly used as assessment strategies, they can also be used as an effective comprehension practice when they teach students how and where to find answers. So this kind of applies again to that self-monitoring and self-checking that stronger readers use. It's my goal really to help Hanley and all of my students kind of check in on themselves to make sure they're understanding what they've read. Hanley's lack of decoding skills directly affect his reading comprehension. Due to the fact that he cannot sound out unknown words, combined with his focusing struggles, Hanley has difficulty answering simple comprehension questions. I really feel good about the differentiation I'm using in my classroom. Every single day I meet with my small groups, especially if we're short on time. I make sure I meet with the lowest groups, which Hanley is in. At most, I have 3 to 4 students in one group, and it's based on their reading level. Now, while Hanley does not receive special ed or Title I services, like I said, our school is very small, and the majority of our students come from low-income households. So this year, we've become a Title I wide school, and this means that at any time, students can receive extra help from the Title I room. And it also means we're required to have RTI time. So in addition to Hanley being in a small group every single day, he also is part of the RTI group that meets a few times a week. So he's receiving a double dose of reading instruction most days without even having to leave the room for Title I support. Some of the assessments we use are DRAs. So students are given a DRA at the beginning of the school year and then also at the end. And that is by the Title I room. And then if the teacher feels that they need to be done more often, they are able to do those. We use running records. Our school uses STAR assessments, and we're required to give those assessments every 6 weeks. And that's where we really get our baseline for our assessments. And then, of course, teacher observation, analyzing student work, think, pair, shares. In conclusion, knowing how to read or decode words is not a small part of the reading process. It's a critical link whose absence inhibits understanding. I feel very, very strongly that Hanley and learners in general won't improve their reading skills unless they're reading every single day. As Hanley's teacher, I feel it's my job to create goals for him, but also create goals with him. At a 4th grade level, he's able to take control of his own education, and it's my hope that speaking with him and finding out what's most important to him and working toward that will help motivate him to be a successful learner. I really think choice is important. I do have a few questions. How can I motivate Hanley to take charge in his education? How do I teach my students at their level, but also prepare them for the mandatory 4th grade standardized tests? And how can I form a home school team to encourage reading practice at home when parents don't value reading or aren't strong readers themselves? And there are my references. Thank you.